All right, welcome to another episode of What's Your
Man.
Story? And who do we have here with us today?
And it's Jacob Porter. I don't know. Do I say my full name?
Hey,
Jacob Aldi Porter, man. Yeah, my grandfather was Aldi, man. I got to say the full name.
Yes, sir. And where you from, Jacob?
I'm from Loris, originally from Gaston. It's called Cherryville in North Carolina, but I moved to Loris when I was 10. I was raised really by Loris. Yeah.
Okay, got you. All right, so I'm going to explain to all of our viewers why we have you here today. We know each other, we work together, and we had a conversation the other day, a religious conversation.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought your opinion on religion and just how you handle yourself with religion was, first off, I think you're very serious about it. And I just thought that it'd be good to put it on camera, like your story of your relationship with God and how you became so close with God.
Yeah.
So that'll be my first question. What made you want to get close to God?
What made, man, it was a lot in my life. The Lord was really calling me at that time, but what made me, I grew up in church. I grew up in a Baptist church. As a matter of fact, my mama's mama was a Pentecostal preacher. Like Holy Ghost, all the gifts of the Spirit, you know what I'm saying? Like she was real with it to the level my mama, like, if she listened to country music, like, that was the devil. If it ain't gospel music, it's the devil. You can't touch it. When I was growing up, I couldn't, for a little minute, I couldn't even watch something like Harry Potter because that's witchcraft. That's the devil. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But eventually my mama kind of relaxed on that, and we ended up going to a Baptist church for a while. And I stayed in church because my mama took me to church, but at that time, my heart was far from the Lord. You know what I'm saying? And there was a moment even when I was about 17, 18, I felt like the Lord was calling me to maybe share his word and preach or something like that. So I started staying around pastors, and I was like just kind of getting all the knowledge that I could, but still my heart was wicked. I ain't had no relationship with God. I was just steady in the church and steady listening to a pastor. You know what I'm saying? Whoever that might be. Then once I got out the house, I went off to college. And I played football for Coastal for a minute. And once I got by myself with my heart. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't nobody taking me to church no more. I got by myself with my heart, and I just I went everywhere. I was studying the Lord as hard as I could. And it got to a point really where, you can see it now. There's millions of churches out there. And every pastor that get up in front of church say, I know who the Lord is, and I can tell you what the Lord got to say, right? You read so many books from different denominations. There's so many different, like, Baptist, Episcopalian, all that. And I just got to a point where I was like, man, if everybody say they got a different God and there's one Jesus, then this got to be BS then. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I kind of left it alone, and I went off and just kind of followed the will of my own heart. And I got off, and I was just in it. Whatever the will of my heart had, I was going for it. And I was living with some boys at the time, and the rent wasn't coming up the way it needed to come up. And the 60 hours a week I was working wasn't making that rent for all of us neither. And I looked down and I was like, man, what I got on? And I had a blunt. And I'm like, well, shit, I can get this. You know what I'm saying? I can get this flipping, man. I can make something happen with this. And I went into it just a whole life of just hustling as hard as I could and following. When they say you a lot of people, they get some money, it changed them. I don't really believe that. It's more like you get some money and you got the freedom now to become exactly who your heart was. You know what I'm saying? So that's exactly what I did, man. I just lived a hell of a life, did a hell of some things. And it got to a point where I was looking around and nothing was fulfilling me. It wasn't even the money that I had. I didn't start it to go get some clothes and try to be the freshest. But at one point I remember sitting in the mall, and I always loved some J's, and I'm sitting in the mall looking around at some shoes. And I'm like, man, I could really buy all this right now. I could be the freshest in this city right now, but ain't no amount of shoes I'm gonna buy ever gonna fill whatever this hole I got inside of me right now. And I couldn't figure out what it was. And I just started looking around, and I met the woman I'm with now. And there was kids around me. Always, the Lord has always kind of had a gift He had given me to be a leader and lead in life. And there's always been kids that just looked up to me. And at the job I was working at the time, there was one little dude, and he just, I don't know. You ever had a kid talk to you, and you can just tell everything you say to this kid, he gonna treat it like that came from his father. You know what I'm saying? And there was so many of them kids in my life, and my woman was in my life, and I remember God sat me down and just kind of was like, "Where are you leading people? Like, what are you doing? Where are you leading people?" I'm looking around, and these kids are looking up at me like they looking for answers, and I'm like, I ain't got them. I ain't even got them for myself. I'm researching, even at the time where I'd say I had given up my faith in Christianity. I was researching any religion, any way of life, anything that had this promise to maybe have some guidance. You know what I'm saying? So I was trying my hardest, and I felt like I was leading them kids places, but really I was just leading them to the same places I was failing, just hustling and living the sin of my heart. You know what I'm saying? Living the wills of my heart. Um, I think that was the biggest thing that really brought me back to the Lord was, Lord, I'm leading right now, and I don't know where I'm going. And to know that this woman is almost ready to trust me with her life, these kids are looking up at me, ready to trust me with the future of their life. Where am I leading them?
Yeah.
And there was a moment I hit every customer on my phone. I told them, I said, look, I'm gonna be gone for a week. I'll be back. We get back to it in a minute. But in that week, the Lord had just dealt with me. I couldn't do nothing, like genuinely, but just sit around and be in pain over decisions that I had made in my life. And really, the Lord put me at a moment where I looked back and I looked at everything that I had done, even the times when I was in church and I had led a worship band at one time, but my heart was in pride when I got up there. I wanted, you know what I'm saying? If there was some cute women around here, I wanted them to see me up here leading this worship band. You know what I'm saying? It was just pride. So even at my most Christian times and at my darkest, really hustling and getting to it times, my heart was the same. And I just kind of took myself on a little tangent. But the Lord was just dealing with me right then for that week that I kind of told everybody I was done. And a man came up to me that I worked with, and he knew the Lord, and he shouldn't have known my life the way he knew my life. But he had a conversation for me. He was like, I feel like Jesus Christ has told me to tell you this today. He said, if you continue in the life that you're living in, you're going to find death. And you're going to find, I don't know if it's death or jail. He was like, my brother, but your family going to be crying. He had seen my 4 little sisters. They came up there to eat. He was like, I don't know where you're going, my brother, but your family, your sisters going to be crying. I remember at that time, the Lord was already dealing with me, and I had already sent that message telling everybody I'm done. But in that moment, it was like, okay, God, you know what I'm saying? Like I almost had to look up to the sky and be like, all right, like that man shouldn't have known to tell me that day. But everywhere that you've led me has been to this conversation. And my heart was almost ready. He had my heart ready for that conversation. And I just was like, man, I gotta give it all up. So I threw the hustling to the side, and I was like, we ain't going. Since then, I ain't flipped the pack. So and that was about a year ago. I threw that away, and I had a moment. I had got home one night after work, and if you a smoker, you know that you ain't gonna hit the blunt once or twice and you fried, right? Like once you really smoking like that, you're gonna keep smoking. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So I got home, I hit the blunt once or twice, and I was like, ooh, like something hit me. And I knew it wasn't the gas, because I'm like, man, this shouldn't be hitting me the way it's hitting me. And I was on the floor sick. Like I couldn't even get up off the floor. I was trying to get up on the couch, and I couldn't even move up off the floor. I had taken my clothes off so I could lay on it was cool on the hardwood floor. I had taken my clothes off. I was just laying there. And I remember I couldn't move. And I just remember feeling like, am I dying? Because in that lifestyle I had done picked up some perks. I was on, you know what I'm saying? If it was Molly, if it was gonna keep me awake and keep me pushing and keep me feeling like I was okay, you know what I'm saying? If it was gonna keep me like that, I was with it. I wouldn't even say like I had a drug of choice. It was just whatever was gonna keep me up, you know what I'm saying? I can't even say I messed with the cocaine though. I ain't never made that far. You know what I'm saying? The Lord kept me to a certain level. But I was definitely, that ain't no judgment or nothing, man. I was definitely just I was getting money, but I was an addict getting money. You know what I'm saying? But I just remember thinking back about that in my life, and I had been able to kick and praise God that I had been able to kick it, but I moved that addiction to some perks throughout the day to 3 Monster energy drinks throughout the day, or maybe 4. You know what I'm saying? I still needed some type of up, and eventually that moved to coffee at some point. Like right now at the house, I got 5. It's like the strongest coffee in the world. I don't drink it as much anymore, but at a time it was like 3 cups of that a day. So I kind of moved off of it. And I remember thinking back, like, man, my heart done been through some stuff. Like this might be the moment I'm dying. While I'm laying here on the floor, I'm like, this might be it for me. Maybe I just can't go no more. And I remember laying there on the floor, and I'm about to kind of just pass out as I'm just in pain and sick and ready to fall asleep or whatever. And I remember looking, or not even looking up, but just remembering that I can pray. Because I lived with a dude at the time. His name was Zach. I was a best man in his wedding recently. He's probably one of my closest brothers. But he always told me to pray. He'd always be like, you praying for your mama? You praying for your grandmama? You know what I'm saying? And I remember in that moment I could pray, and I said, God, save me. And then it wasn't too long after that, I fell asleep, and I woke up the next day, and I wasn't sick, but it was like I knew who the Savior was. You know what I'm saying? Like it was like all the information that I had been given and knowledge that I had in my life when I was younger just clicked. And I said, oh, that man that saves is Jesus. I got to go find him now. And that was the moment. I came right back to God, or when God came and got a hold of me. Yeah. Really right then. That was what led to it. But that was the moment where God just was like, nah, like I got you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But it took me to a point of I had to look back and realize how much dirt I had done and how many people I had hurt in places that I had led people into destruction, and realized that, man, if there is a God, and justice is real and justice needs to be served, then man, I deserve it. I know I deserve that justice. I remember even after I prayed that prayer, and the next day I knew Jesus Christ. I wouldn't say I knew he saved me, but I knew it was Jesus Christ, the reason that I got up off that floor last night. I remember for the next 2 or 3 months, I even just driving around, I was telling God, like, I get it. Your judgment, I probably deserve death. I know you saved me, but in a real way, like, I probably deserve some death for the things that I've done in this life. I deserve some sort of consequences in this life. And I remember just 3 months of like, all right, I'm probably going to jail soon. I'm probably going to get messed up soon, something like that. But he held on to me. And I ain't really since then, when you say that relationship, I just have been learning to form and try to build that relationship. And he brought me to a point where I understand his forgiveness now. You know what I'm saying? So now I can look back at the things in my life, and I no longer hate myself and live in depression and self-hatred. And I no longer have to cope with that depression and self-hatred. I know that Christ has forgiven me. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So now I can move forward.